Wayne, thank you very much for joining us. What did you make of what Dudu Myeni said at the State Capture Commission, that she won't answer questions on SAA for fear of incriminating herself?
Well, it's strange, you know. She's been incriminated already. She's a delinquent director for life. That ruling is there. That case has happened. I know she's appealing it. But there's a lot of stuff that was not even raised in our case that the Zondo Commission want to ask questions of her. And so I really think she's digging a deeper hole for herself. And what's happening is that the evidence leader is really painting a very clear picture. And if she doesn't want to answer the questions, well, then it's left to everybody else's minds. And when this evidence is handed over to the criminal justice system, she can be charged on that. And then, if she behaves like this in a court of law, well, a judge will have to make his or her decision based on one-side arguments. And that's not going to be good for her. So I think she's actually making a fool of herself.
Did you build your case in court when getting her declared a delinquent director on state capture documentation, as she alleges?
Well, our case started before state capture came about. We started our case against her, building it in 2016. In 2017, we summoned her. 2018, the Zondo Commission came to being. And throughout our case, we got evidence from SAA, from whistleblowers, from people who took the stand, from Treasury, and we got evidence from the State Capture Commission from their public website, which is public information. The information we used was affidavits. There's nothing wrong with that, nothing untoward, nothing unlawful about that. But our case was certainly not built on evidence that was only put forward at the Zondo Commission, not at all.
It's interesting that this week at the State Capture Commission we've been meeting board members. Of course, Iyako Krenana was serving on the board as well. And you must know a lot about what it means to have someone declared a delinquent director. One has to ask, is this an indictment on how people are appointed to boards, or do you think that there's an attempt just simply not to answer questions and therefore look like they don't know what they're talking about?
Well, it's so sad. It's absolutely shocking that we have people of this caliber, and you listened to Iyako Krenana yesterday, you listened to Dudu Myeni, and you see their actions and what they did to that airline. And these are people that are appointed in the highest positions of an airline. This is a complex business. And there they were meddling away with the operational matters. I mean, the one matter in the delinquent director case where Dudu Myeni stopped a deal, a memorandum of understanding with Emirates, who've now, by the way, formed a relationship with Airlink. And that deal itself was 100 million rands a year saving. That's nearly 2 billion rand a year to this organization, which would have been in a different situation and might not be going under now. So it's really shocking. And for them to behave in this way and thinking that they can just ignore or fob off the questions or not answer the questions, you know, the public aren't being mistreated here. We have a right to know what went on.
Do you believe that criminal charges are imminent against Dudu Myeni?
Yes, absolutely, and we hope so. There's enough evidence that has been passed on from our case to the NPA, and we hope more comes from the evidence that has been put forward by the Zondo Commission. I have no doubt that if the rule of law flowed, and flowed meaningfully against Dudu Myeni and others, she would be found guilty. I have no doubt about that.
Just on the SAA issue, do you believe it's an airline that can be revived? If half of what we're hearing about the meddling and the corruption at SAA is to be believed, if we've stopped that now, could SAA rise from the ashes?
Well, I think you could start any airline today if it got the international license and the right shareholding. Certainly, SAA couldn't survive if it had a board that is politically appointed. And it had the current situation that it had just before it went into business rescue. That airline has been trashed because politicians and governments do not know how to run complex and competitive businesses. So our view is that it's a very slim chance it could, but it would have to have a majority shareholding in public with business-minded professionals, or let me put it that way, with the state not interfering and not being part of it at all. So I don't know why the state needs to hold on to this. And there are other examples of Denel in that we don't need to be in the business of business as government. We need to be an enabler of business to make sure that good businesses, competitive businesses thrive in this country. The state does not know how to do this. I don't think they can revive SAA unless they put a lot more money than what they have into their line.
Well, thank you very much for chatting to us. That, of course, is Wayne Duvenage of the organisation Undoing Tax Abuse.